now that we are all properly here and that good stuff, at least everyone who will be here. So I imagine we'll have a few trickles-ins. First things first, the department head and leadership signups. Those are, at the moment, nearly concluded. I would give everyone another 10 minutes or so just to fully put their votes in. If you do not know where to go vote, go on to roll signups, and that is where you can go and find the two most recent links to a sign-up sheet where you can go and vote. If you've already voted, no need to worry about that. Do keep in mind, though, that as of Thursday, I did clear any vote that did not have an email attached to it, so we didn't have possible double voting. So if you did vote before Thursday, then you should re-vote. In addition to that, while we wait for those votes to tally in, let me go and grab a document to share. So we can go and discuss that while we wait for the votes to tally. I'm gonna hide the visuals of Discord so it's not visible on that end of things.
The police are coming for Nerp Monka.
I imagine it's a fire station, actually, because there's a fire station, or fire truck. There's a fire station right next to my place. But yes.
I can't believe Nerp is so fucking fire that they have to send firefighters after him. What the fuck?
But here we go. This is the mission structure doc that I sent earlier. There's only a few changes for this, but most of them being like experience-based, so I figured we can go over it real quickly just while we wait. Anything marked in yellow, so highlighted in yellow, is changes to the document, so you can skip anything that's not really marked that way, or read it if you haven't read it before. Essentially, I have added markings for how many milestones, essentially things that you can do in the mission that would give you an experience boost, and so a minimum and maximum for that. Note, everything here is subject to change. This is just my base idea that would probably properly be discussed in an adventure team meeting. I figured right now we can just look at it while we wait for the votes. So basic things for minors through campaigns, saying minimum, maximum. And then we go into the experience table when people get the boon. So I have on the character creation document, you get a ASI at first level and then a feat at 3, 6, 9, so on. And then how many hit dice a character has. Because I give everyone additional hit dice at first level in character creation, which, again, character creation is also subject to change. I have it listed there just for ease, so people know what their thing is. Because this experience track would be player sent, so people can all see that once it is confirmed. I did keep it fairly dumbed down, so it's not like thousands of numbers. It's just, here's 10. I mean, it does get into the thousands, but the previous version of this track that I used, the numbers were set to base start off at 1,300 for fast, and then ending in the millions for slow. So this is much cleaner, I'd say, easier to math.
Jesus.
Yeah, so you know, it's what about it? It's how it goes. Anyways, below that we have the milestone experience gained from the difficulty of the milestone. This is just the base idea I had previously. I had set to based upon the mission impact. So a minor mission would be the easy category, lesser, medium, major, and so on. I was actually asking my brother a bit for advice here because the math wasn't really adding up, where major missions ended up giving more experience than campaigns. So he suggested that I change it to based on the difficulty of the milestone itself, which the math started working out there. I was working on a chart, but that did not finish that, so I did just put a work in progress at the bottom here. But those are the values that you can gain. Essentially, for the most part, it'll take about 10 missions or so, 10 milestones, I mean, to level up from 1 to 2, I believe, and from 2 to 3, based upon the experience gain, depending on the difficulty. Average on medium, though. So if most are medium, it'll be about 10 milestones to fully level up. Which does get harder to level up the higher level you go, as intended. So I think around going from 19 to 20, for example, I think it's about 30 milestones. maybe 40. I don't remember exactly. I did all this math last night, so. But just as an example. Hopefully when I have the chart made, it'll be more visually appealing.
And easier to understand.
Indeed. I was trying to explain this to my brother, and he was like, give me it in dumbed down version. So,
Use small words, please.
yes. But here's numbers. They're pretty, and we can look at them. I also have modifiers that you can be applied to these based upon things such as prestige, or if the modifier itself is like, here's the end campaign boss, for example, that would be a high story impact. Or maybe it's a granny has a cat stuck up in a tree, go save it. You know, low story impact. So you can add modifiers to adjust these experience gains based upon things. And all of the experience milestones in your missions should be approved, at least the baseline, should be approved by your relevant region head or co-region head. At least that is my intention. As something, can definitely be discussed during a adventure team meeting. But that is the idea.
Would a milestone count as like they clear out the camp, they find a book or something that actually has information?
Yeah. Milestone can be pretty much anything you think it could be. It could be, as you suggested, clearing out a camp of bandits. It could be finding an important document in the bandit camp. It could be successfully stealthing through the bandit camp. It could be failing to stealth but killing everyone in the bandit camp because you're crazy. Whatever you think it works, it could be.
I'm hearing days vaulting in our future.
Yeah. So and the easy, medium, hard, and deadly are just based upon how difficult the assign challenge is, not how difficult the party managed to complete it. So if the party is perfectly designed to defeat the encounter, you won't reduce their experience. It's still as was set. But the idea is I'm going to be working on an experience a CR calculating system to determine experience. Saying experience again. Determine the difficulty of non-combat trap encounters. Because right now we have a easy to deadly system already set in place for traps and monsters, but not one for diplomacy or a skill challenge and things of that nature. So that's something I'm going to be working on.
We have stuff for combat and tangentially combat. We don't have things for like social and exploration.
Yeah, so technically you could use the combat calculator to determine avoiding a possible encounter. So like if you are diplomatizing the bandit leader to let you pass, that could be considered a combat encounter experience success for Milestone. But I want one for like if you're like going to go talk to the king, for example. The king might not be a high CR creature, but the encounter certainly is high CR.
Meaning don't send the barbarian.
Exactly.
No. You do send the barbarian.
Okay. We send Cass. Okay, there.
You need to send the barbarian so long as the barbarian is acting as the protection detail for the people actually doing the talking.
But you were going to say something, Witch? I think I heard your voice.
No. No, I was just commenting on how that's true, since we already have spreadsheets and a lot of experience, especially from the old setting, encounter quote-unquote balance, but social balance that it's harder to quantify also, because I guess, for example, talking to the king, the visit to the king, right?
Yeah.
So you could argue that, for example, starting a war would be a failure condition, but what if starting a war was the entire point?
Yeah, I mean that could definitely be a milestone experience.
Yeah, it's more of how do you qualify success or failure in those events, or do we just give experience for participation in those?
So
because there are like experience.
So events like that, are you saying if there's like two different teams that are wanting to do the diplomacy, both with different goals?
Sort of. It's even in the same party, like people's goals could be different. Like,
yeah, that's true. I would consider. Keep in mind, this is just spitballing here. I would consider if there's two different parties or two different factions within one adventuring party, for example, both wanting different results from this meeting with a hypothetical king. If one wants to cause a rebellion, one wants to join with the king, for example, whichever side is successful in their diplomacy would have the milestone boon. So that is kind of PvP-esque in nature, but it is technically something that one side failed to meet their objective. So that is a failed milestone, so it would not gain that milestone. It is, I would consider, a niche case for the most part, because most parties should be on the same page. But as we saw in the previous phases, there are exceptions.
In the previous phase, it was a set amount per session. Do I understand that correctly?
In the previous phases, it was indeed a set amount where it was just one mission value, as it was called, gained based upon session. It was later updated to gain based upon session and completion, and then it was changed to be based upon session, completion, and the completion bonus experience was based upon the difficulty, or the more accurately, the impact of the mission type.
I have a few questions along with the write-up I made describing my thoughts on all this. Let me post that write-up in just a moment here. My first question is, so this is all saying that there are milestones, but is there an experience reward that doesn't include milestones? Like, is there a base experience reward for the missions, or is it only through milestones so people can get experience?
So the idea I currently had is that the base experience reward for missions is technically considered the final milestone, which is why all milestones list as one minimum, at least. Because the final milestone is essentially completing the mission. And that one should have a... I forgot to add this, apparently. I was going to add an experience modifier of mission completion, like end boss defeated, for example, and that'd be experience times 2. So instead of gaining, for example, a hard difficulty 4 at 1 to 2, if that is the final objective, that would give you 8. That was the intention. I just forgot to put that down there.
I gotcha. So I put my proposed changes doc right up in the Council General. So a few notes. One, I see initially one problem with this, which is that, first off, I mean, I'm assuming we're talking like one session a week, right? As it was in the previous phase.
Previous phase was bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, so 2 a week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That means
No. Once
every 2 weeks. That is.
You're also paying DMs, and it was going to be a hard requirement.
Yeah. So the problem with that is, if we continue with that, this is part of my write-up. Campaign missions are going to max out at over a year long, literally, because 30 sessions spaced out once every 2 weeks. That's what, 60 weeks for a single campaign. I understand that might be fine for some things, but that is also quite a lot of sessions, and also for quite a little amount of reward on only 10 milestones. Of course, that's at the far end, so I have a few proposed changes. Initially, my idea of this whole thing is that from what it looks like, it's possible to level up decently fast, especially if quests are run daily, like the smaller ones, the ones that are only 1 to 2 milestones. Say 10 of those are run a day at the absolute best. Then a person, if they participate in 2 to 3 of them daily, they can get leveled up pretty quickly. However, I am seeing a problem here with the overall document, is that the longer campaigns seem to reward less for the amount of time put in terms of XP. Because like 8 to 30 sessions versus like 1 to 6, the low and high ends are very vastly different than the milestone caps.
So that's actually something I noticed myself, and I was working on adjusting. I actually noticed that overall, it was the way I wanted. So easy, medium, those even at minimum gave less than deadly, for example, or less than as previously mentioned during the set where it was minor through campaign instead of easy to deadly. Easies gave less, mediums gave less, deadlies gave more. The issue there was hard always gave more than campaigns and lessers and minors. That has essentially been nullified due to the system change to being difficulty based, where it's more appropriate to be. You're not really going to have a lot of deadly encounters in lower impact games. So that just naturally puts itself. That's naturally fixes the issue.
I can understand that.
The other thing, which I think that you might not have noticed would be that campaign missions and like major missions, these missions themselves, their session length isn't exactly 8 to 30 sessions of just this campaign. They're also designed to have subquests and minor quests involved with them. So, if it is the cap of like 30, or so sessions, like 10 of those sessions could be a subquest that is considered a major, for example, and that would be its own part of the campaign essentially that could grant experience, that could boost essentially, because that would have another end storyline, air quotes, experience boost. So that is kind of where campaigns get the extra boost, and major missions also have this, where they could have minor missions as subquests.
Okay.
So that is a thing.
Yeah, I figured that was the case, but still, it seems a bit because this write-up here, it seems like it's leading towards more of the idea that 8 to 30 sessions of play gets you 4 to 10 milestone, which, I mean, as you said, there'd be subquests and the such, but unless we include that in the write-up, that there will be subquests and things like that in the nature as like one of the bullet points, it's going to be, confusing for future DMs who would want to run games. Additionally, I was going to suggest that because right now the way there are two factors in which we are currently gauging whether or not something is a minor, a major, etc. One factor being how it impacts the lore, and the other one being how many sessions it has. So my question is, what if someone wants to run a low impact but high session count game? What kind of game would that be? Would that just be a bunch of minors, or would that count as a campaign even though it doesn't have lore implications?
That would be a bunch of minors.
Okay.
Yeah. The big thing here is that these mission impacts, they could be continuing missions. It's just the plot point itself, for example, if you've played Weeby Goblins from Pathfinder, it's Adventure Path. One of those books would be considered a minor mission, for example. They have 4 books, or maybe 5 at this point, in the series, where each one of those would be considered a minor mission, even though they could be like, 1 to 3 sessions each, I believe. I think near the end they're like 4 sessions. But they are a continuing story, where you could have an overarching story of just minor impact, which would be kind of where that would go into, play.
Yeah. So my suggestion here is, because of the fact that we're talking about how people could run a bunch of minor sessions and string them together in effectively a campaign, then I suggest a change to this article in that there is 2 factors that determine milestone XP. There is difficulty, which you already have, but also lore implications. If a milestone has major lore implications, it would reward more XP, whereas if one has lesser, it would reward less, but not by a big ratio, say the minor one being like 50 and the major one being like 200. Well, obviously it changes via level and other things, but this would help kind of solve that, because as of right now, it feels a bit arbitrary, the difference between like a campaign and a minor, aside from the lore. The session length, like, why is there a session length cap in general,
The session length cap is, for the most part, to prevent missions that wouldn't realistically have that long of a duration. For example, if your mission, which would be minor impact, is just to go into a bandit camp and kill the leader, that's not going to take you 12 sessions. It might, if your team is being really, running around and just talking to people the entire time for 4 sessions, and the last 2 they actually have to sneak in, and then they sneak in successfully, but then they get lost and start talking to the bandits in there, and that takes another 3 sessions. It could happen, but the intention is that is the general range that you're looking at. It could technically go higher, but it's not going to upgrade the missions tier.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if it's not going to upgrade the mission tier, why just give a suggestion? It should be around this length and not 1 to 6, because as of right now, it's implying that it's 1 to 6. That if you go over 6, that's too much.
I mean, that's an easy fix. Just 1 to 6.
That would be a good fix. And then the lore application thing, I think you should consider, because there are going to be parts during a campaign where, for example, you might be defeating a giant like a literal giant's army that's invading the land, but part of it might include a subquest that is just like, hey, go slay one of the giants who's terrorizing a small village. This isn't going to have major lore implications, and as such should be worth less than all the other milestones for this campaign, but as of the current system, it would be worth as much, unless you count it as a completely different quest, which feels a bit weird, you know? So maybe having the lore implications actually affect the weight of how much a milestone is worth.
Well, that there is
considered.
already there. Low story and high story impact. It's already a modifier.
Yeah, well, I'm saying add that as the alternative to, instead of having, you know, in the minor to campaign, instead of saying, well, these have different impacts, instead say it has a multiplier based on the impact for each mission. So that multiplier can change because right now, if we look at it, a campaign mission would be 8 to 30 sessions of constant campaign missions. But if one of them feels more like a minor or a major mission, it should be multiplied by 0.5 or 0.75. We should, in other words, add more multipliers and make this kind of a base thing instead of an optional thing.
Actually, before we even do that, one question: are you locked into missions after you start taking them? Like, for example, if you take a campaign mission, could you still take minor missions and stuff in between? Like, for example, while the campaign is in downtime or something, not to the players, but for example, to the DM needing to prepare content.
Downtime could happen, yeah. It'd just be based upon the mission itself. The idea here is to make missions available to be either side of the spectrum, where it could be more akin to the previous phase where you get into a mission and that's your mission, or it could be more akin to a traditional style play where you get in your mission, the end of the mission session, your team, ends up in a tavern. You can then, go do whatever and go do other missions if you'd like, but your mission is still there and you can go return to it. It's just, that is your quest. There might be a time limit on your quest. And if there's a time limit, that will be based upon how many days have passed during the update stream. But this is just an overview of my thoughts that should be gone over in more detail during Adventure Meeting. Though we do have some extra time today, because I don't really have a lot to go over. It's mostly just assigning tags, which is why I'm okay with going into a bit more depth right now. But yes.
So may I continue talking about my write-up, or do you want to move on now?
Continue for a bit. We have a bit more time we can spend.
So it's been suggested by a few people that we lower the level cap from 20 down to something a bit lower, and then slowly raise it as missions that are major get completed and the world grows stronger. I think Jund was the one who mentioned that initially. Somebody mentioned it.
Was the cap going to be 20?
That's what I'm going to ask. Yeah.
What?
So at the moment, the cap has not been determined. I have levels marked for 1 to 20, and I have experience marked for 1 to 20. So we have the information there. I don't think anyone's going to be getting to level 20 within the first phase. Just period.
Please no.
Because if you look at how the experience is currently set up, it will take years. I'd say about 2 if you're doing... I was doing the math last night, but I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, it took about like 2.5 maybe to get to 1 from 1 to 20 if you're doing pretty good on missions and mission difficulty. Assuming none of them were prestige.
Do we need a level cap of 12 anymore? I'm pretty sure the 12 requirement was because nobody could have access to level 13 and 7th level spells in the old place.
Well, that's what I'm kind of saying. We don't have a level cap at the moment. I'm not sure if it's necessary due to how long it will take to level.
It's more of... There was more to it than that. The main issue is 5e itself as a system starts petering out the further we go into levels. So until we can have enough homebrew in place to sort of stopgap that, it's nicer if we sort of put a cap on that. Maybe not 12, but maybe 13 is honestly enough of a milestone, because 13 is the point where you are, I would say, power scale wise in a fantasy setting, you are basically living legends at that point. And anything after that, you are in demigod territory, which is when everything really breaks down, and God help you as a DM. Because
the reason there were lower caps each phase last time was so that people could play together at endgame, or at level cap. That was what it was.
And the intention was also so that the people that you joined the world with would be the people that you keep playing with.
Yeah.
The idea around how we leveled in Verum was based around so that people tend to level around the same rate, retiring and dying notwithstanding.
Yeah, I imagine that made scheduling a little easier too.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh.
I imagine it did.
You can certainly have a level cap. I'm not against the idea. I mean, it worked well for us. I just had no intentions at the moment to, like, in the document, here's a level cap.
No, this is something we should all discuss. It's also
Yeah.
I think
what are
the only
DMs
thing that we can determine now is whether NERP has any objections to people being above 12.
I heard what you said, and I was like, age 12? What? And I was like, oh no, level 12. Okay. Like, no, we're 18 plus server. But, for above 12, I don't have any objectives for eventually having people be above level 12.
All right, then that kind of solves that.
Everything else can be discussed in length about the pros and cons of various breakpoints and implementations.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a longer conversation for adventure. But I think we're nearing the end of your general second paragraph for your document there, Chris. So
Yeah, so this is where I was going to mention the whole prestige system, basically. So from what I've heard about the previous phase, the average time to reach level cap previously, which was level 13, I believe.
It was level 12.
Yeah.
That was,
No, okay.
we
so
were
phase
designed to
one,
do
level cap-
14 for the upcoming phase, but we didn't get to it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from what people told me, the average time to reach it was about 6 to 8 months. It took sometimes people a lot faster if they had DM rewards or other things like that, but at the latest you'd see people getting there by like a year or just over a year, and the earliest you'd see people maybe about 6 months, meaning it's about 8 months. So the reason I'm proposing a prestige system at all is because if we want this to be a long-lasting living world, there is going to be the daunting task of eventually people are going to hit level caps. People are going to reach points where there's no longer progression. And while it is, we could just talk about that later, we don't actually know because all of this is just in writing. This is also assuming DMs run games bi-weekly. If we have DMs who are hyper running games because of the assistant GM system or anything else, people are going to level up a lot faster. And we need to prepare ourselves for that just in case with a system so that once people hit that area, we have something to say, okay, here's what you can do now. And so a prestige system, there are a few options for it, basically. The simple one is coming up with a document of some kind, which I didn't include because this is entirely up to the balance and homebrew teams effectively. But basically including some kind of prestige point system where basically people at, say, level 12 or level 20 can prestige their characters. You could also prestige your character in between levels 12 and 19, but you'd only get the benefits of, like, if you prestige at level 12. The idea being that at level 12 and up, you get, like, 1 prestige point, and at level 20, you get more, maybe 2 or maybe 3 prestige points, and maybe there'd be checkpoints in between as well.
Let me just say something real quick because the word prestige might be a bit confusing because we use that for an entirely different system. But what you're suggesting is you get to the level cap, you quote unquote prestige and restart, and you get some bonus, right?
So the idea being that you would retire your character, but not fully. You could still use the same character, for example, but their level's just reduced. One of the other options from another group of people I had was like if you're at level 20, you could just prestige quote unquote down to level 12, gaining only a single prestige point, but still maintaining your character's power somehow. Stuff like that. But in general, these prestige points would have a few different uses. Either from granting people an early start, having evolving abilities that grow as their new character's level, things that are basically reasons for them to keep playing after their characters hit max level instead of just deleting their character and starting again completely,
Yeah, so I like the prestige idea. It definitely needs to be discussed more in depth. I mean, any rewards 100% need to be discussed in depth. Overall, I think the reward should be more RP based. So, for example, you might retire at level 20 using your prestige. The term needs to be changed, though, because prestige is something we do use.
Yeah.
But you retire level 20, you're using the prestige points, air quotes, whatever we call them. And, for example, you could choose to use those points to do something like, I create a new faction. That is something that would unlock content for additional people. They would not be something that is mechanically benefiting your future characters, technically speaking, because it will benefit the world. But it's not something that's like, oh, I'm going to give my new character my legendary +5 longsword, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want any items of that nature. Nothing of that nature where it just feels like everyone who has prestiged is suddenly stronger than everyone else.
Yeah,
So.
I think that the idea behind it is that at best, as I described it before, with like a level 20 prestige character, your new character might be able to start with like a +1 weapon, which is quite nice, but it's definitely not like a game breaker because you're suddenly now super powerful. It is literally a +1 weapon. You could sell
I really
it,
like Nerf's rendition of that though.
But yeah, there's
Like
also
Epic in the world.
yeah, like for example, in the civilian system, if we actually have like ways that you can become a better blacksmith over time, we could give people a jump start to that. Maybe they start off a little bit with knowledge in blacksmithery or a bit of knowledge in potion crafting, stuff like that could easily work, and it doesn't greatly impact the game. It just basically jump starts their character because they've already been playing for a while, something like that.
And from chat, I'm seeing some people saying that essentially going from de-leveling, this is designed to, at least from my understanding, to retire your character. So that level 20, for example, is no longer, like, air quotes, your main playable character. You might be called on to RP them if you use your prestige points to become, like, a faction leader. But they are out of the picture as your active adventuring character.
Yeah, there are a few options for it. You could have like a child that precedes them, something like that. You could have the same character and have some kind of RP reason why your character has lost all their powers. That could be another reason. It could just be that your character is gone and another character that has nothing to do with them now takes their place, something like that. It's mainly meant to be free form and kind of up to the players as long as they have a valid enough reason for their character to not exist, you know?
Yeah, and definitely we'll have issues with meta, so that suggestion is something that definitely needs to be discussed in more depth with political and adventuring team when we go into more depth with if this idea is to be pushed forward.
Also balance.
Balance as well, yeah. So many different departments. Yeah, anything adventuring really has just like 6 departments that all need to discuss together. It's insane. But
I think that concludes my write-up pretty much. Again, the whole prestige thing, we can rename it, we can rebalance it, and the whole point is it has been done on other servers with a moderate degree of success. There have been maybe small issues with players who've been on the server for over a year having slightly better starting characters, but it's not as if they're restarting their characters very often. It happens literally like once a year, so yeah, he'll be ahead of people but for like about a month, and then things will balance out as the levels grow. You know, or alternatively, he'll have a better start RP-wise, but everyone else already has good RP as well because, it's been going on for a year. So,
yeah, it
all depends.
Yeah. So I definitely can see some issues with the system, but I think it is definitely something we should discuss in the future. Overall, though, decent write-up. We can have more in-depth conversation with it in an adventure meeting, which can soon be had since we kind of rolling into the next bit, have leadership and region heads to discuss. So, if people go to those polls, you should be able to see the responses document part of it, and I'm going to just go change the recording to Firefox so people can see the changes. I'm going from top to bottom, just so we can go through and see who is head and co-head. For clarity,
where am I clicking to see the responses?
I'll post it in general.
Yep, thank you.
You should be able to click that link and get it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it not on my end, so I just figured people would be able to click to change the right thing. Apparently not.
No, if you click the links that you posted in role sign up are the view form links, so that just brings you to the form again.
I see. Well, we got you covered. They got you covered.
You should be able to click that and actually view them.
But for clarity, the highest percentage will be considered the acting department head or region head or director. Those next two in line, assuming no one defers their thing. So, like, if, for example, I'm like, I don't want to be adventure leadership, number 2 would then be considered number 1, and so on and so forth. As an example. But number 2 and number 3 are considered assistant or co, so they can help you out if you need help, if you're not available. And again, they can choose to defer, and we'll go down the line until we, have are 3 in each department and region and so on. The only exception there would be general directors, the leadership role for that, since they are more assistants and helpers for leadership and the server in general. There is 5 of those that would be assigned, and otherwise it's highest to lowest. If one defers, then we just go down the line until we have 5. 4 for ease. All right. So, looking at Divinity, if my cleanup team can assign these roles, I believe you guys have access to it. If you can't, then people who have leadership roles can do it. But Divinity looks like Sakurag. You are the chosen Divinity head, with your co being Manny and a tie between Caditron. Caditron actually dropped out, which is why they're no longer on the list there on the right. So Sithams, those are the 3. Would any of you like to defer?
I'll defer. Smile.
All right, which means we have Bujo as the third, the de facto third.
Catron is on the list if you scroll down. All right.
Our cat dropped out of that.
Yeah, if you look in leadership trial documentation, they have listed as dropping out there per their request.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which is why I removed them from the options, but apparently they didn't remove their...
I'll speak to Caditron if they are interested in CO head.
Yeah. If they're interested, then they are welcome to take the position. But at the moment, Sack, Manny, possibly Caddy, if not Bujo. Going to balance, overwhelmingly support for Chrono, followed by Crispy Crunchy, love the name, and I believe, yep, Chris, you are Zico balance. So that would be those 3 if any of you wish to defer. And if anyone is not in the meeting at the moment, I can send messages or the team can send messages seeing if you are still interested and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm happy to defer to the others.
So you will be deferring yours, Crispy Crunchy, to Zyron then?
Indeed.
All right. Zyron it is the other co then. And any defers here from Zyron? See if you're in the call. Well, you are.
Even thumbs up in chat.
Excellent. All right. Moving on, we go to Homebrew. Homebrew, we have Corey being the acting department head, with Manny as co and Princess Chennikins as co. Any of you would like to defer? Sounds like I'm saying defer the cat. Sounds horrible.
I'll defer and focus on Divinity.
All right. In that case, we have Chris. You are a co-homebrew department. Would you like to defer?
Nah.
All right. Go to Lore Keeper. Overwhelming to Chaos Fountain Pen, JC. And we have Dr. Jund and Sithams. Would any of you like to defer?
No.
Yeah.
All right. We go to Economy with overwhelming support for Corey, followed by Pation and Royal Tree as co. Would any of you like to defer? All right. Training Head, overwhelming for Sithams, with votes for Manny and Princess Jennykins. Would any of you like to defer? I'm pretty sure there's just those 3, so if you guys defer, it's not an issue, but it will just be Sithams plus 1 co. Or 0 co's if both of you defer. Yeah, there's only 3. But sounds like a no, so continue on. Very good, very good. Political Head, overwhelming support for Pi, followed by Manny and JC, Chaos Fountain Pen. Would any of you like to defer for political head / co-heads?
I'll defer.
All right, in that case, your deferment goes to Dead Shadow DM. Would you like to defer?
I don't know if he's in the call.
Yeah, well, we can message them later. Now for leadership. For adventure leadership, overwhelming support for myself, apparently. with Legacy as my co, as well as Blackheart. Would either of you two like to defer?
I'm
No,
good.
I think he did skip. By accident, I think he did skip RP events head.
Did I? Where is RP Events Head?
It's at the top.
Oh, that's my bad. That's my bad. All right. RP Events Head, Waken Shrub. And JC, overwhelming for Waken Shrub, 87.5. Chaos Found Pen for JC, and a tie between Chris and Dead Shadow DM. For those two, since there's a tie, both at 1 vote, if someone could put a vote in chat, whoever gets the most votes can get it, or either of you can just defer right now and it'd be fine.
I don't think Dead is here right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
I don't really want to defer, so yeah.
Yeah, then let's give it a vote in chat, and if they wish to keep it if they win, then cool. If they lose the tie vote, then we'll go to Chris. So if you guys can put a vote in, no mic or challenge to general, either way works for me. And while that vote is being tallied, we'll continue on with the leadership down below. It sounds like no one wishes to defer in terms of leadership for adventure, so we'll continue on to creation with overwhelming for Corey as leadership director of creation, with Blackheart as co and Fail as co as well. Would either of you like to defer?
I'm good.
All right. From there.
Fails here.
Yeah, I'm here, but I didn't catch the name of the department.
Creation director. You would be a creation director, basically assistant to Corey.
Okay.
All right. In that case, continuing on to tech with support pretty high up there, but not exactly overwhelming for Legacy, as it was pretty close with Systems. Systems being co, and Nightlight being co as well.
I defer to CO.
All right, Systems. You are now acting tech, and then Nightlight, followed by Crispy Crunchy. Would either of you two like to defer?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, there we go. And now for general leadership. These ones are not as pretty. I like the pie graph. Let's see here. We have Legacy, Shrub, 18's next highest for Charles Barkley Tulpa, and then Manny and Big Dream. Would either of you like to defer?
Nope. It's
I'm free!
Oh gosh.
You're never free. Back to work.
Back to mountains.
They can't make me.
You think you're free, but we're gonna pull you back in.
See, I wasn't even making because you never signed up. You never asked me about the thing, so you're fine. Plus, I knew you didn't want to.
Well, it wasn't even fully I didn't want to. I didn't realize I completely forgot to sign up
Oh.
because I was busy.
Rip.
So that's actually it's actually better this way though, because real talk, I can finally get some sleep again.
Indeed.
Woo!
All right, so that is our 5, since no one is deferring at this moment. That is Gouda. All right. Let me go and check to see if the votes have been tallied in the relevant chats.
Don't give me a reason to come back.
Because everything is on fire.
It's still being tallied?
Yeah, we haven't even started yet.
Oh.
Yeah, we have
okay.
definitely not started.
Let me just go and blap that
Vote
then.
for question mark Cohead. What was it for Cohead?
It's RP events specifically between Chris and Dead Shadow. So RP events, Chris, Dead Shadow.
Charles has one up and no mic.
Oh, okay, you beat me to it.
Yeah.
Do that one.
Ping staff and just react with a roll. It's all good.
Yep. I'm just gonna not vote, especially since it seems like overwhelming support for Dead Shadow at the moment.
Legacy, probably wait till later in the day to ping Cat. They're currently moving shit to their new house.
Will do.
All right. Very good. It definitely looks like Dead Shadow is the other co for RP events. From then, we can go on to region heads. All right. I'm also going to have to edit this video because it most certainly has seen some emails. Oof. Again, I scrolled up too much. Okay. I set it so it was set so it was just below the emails on the response document. But apparently I scrolled up. Yeah, I'm just gonna. It's really easy to edit it. I've gone to university for this, so I can do it. It's just sad.
It's just tedious and.
Yeah. Anyways, region heads. Let's see. Starting with Baruja, overwhelming for Sithums, with Manny and Fail as co. Would either of you like to defer?
No.
No.
Wait, if I prefer to be only assisting one because I am new to this.
Gotcha.
I am new to the living world system, so I would like to defer to someone else that's not me.
All right, no problem.
So just to clarify, in case it matters, this is for a region head rather than
Yes, this is for a region head.
Region head, I do want to be. I'm sorry.
Okay, so no deferment.
No.
Okay, excellent. So that is your three: Sithums, Manny, and Fail. Is it Fail or File? I'm assuming it's Fail. So you haven't corrected me yet.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. All right, Eldiria, the land of dragon people. We have Drexia as head with a three-way tie between co's. So Bujo, Dr. Jund, and Sak. Will either of you like to defer and make this easy, or shall we do a vote?
I'll defer since I got Divinity Head.
Very good. All right. And there you go. That would be your shoops and your whoops. From there, we go to Doladur. With Blackheart No Ire as the Doladur region head, followed by Robert H. Reaper, and a tie between Manny and Fail. Would either of you like to defer?
I think it's pronounced Noir.
No, there's an L in there.
Is there an L?
Yeah. I have this conversation with everybody that asks.
I've literally referred to you as Noir for the entire time that I've been working.
No,
with
I have this conversation with everyone who brings it up. That's an L. It would just look weird as capitalization.
So it's Blackheart No Nollery?
Yep.
Nollery.
That's,
all right.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep calling you
I see.
Blackheart.
I thought it was a capital I. So.
No, that's fine. I have that conversation with everybody.
I see. Excellent. Yes. Fail or Manny would like to defer. Shall we have a vote?
Again, I would prefer to stay with only one department, so I would defer from other that's not myself.
All right. So that means, Manny, you are Zico. Would you like to defer?
I'm good.
All right. You are co for Doladur. Galbesh, we have a tie for head with Chaos and Manny. Would either of you like to defer?
If I'm going to be the head, I will not defer.
I really want Calbesh. I
All
know
right.
the most about that one.
Then can we get a vote set up and no mic for the Calbesh region? And for co's, we're looking at Sak, and I assume whoever is going to lose that vote. And while that vote is going on, going to Erindil.
Where's the region head thing, and what section is it? Sorry.
Oh, Sithams, since I believe you posted the last one, could you post that for them? I don't know how to get to it for viewers.
The analytics?
Yeah, the analytics.
No,
the response sheet so people can see the pie graph for who's voted.
The region head one's still not visible.
Oh, mother flipper.
Yeah.
All right, let me go and fix that. Settings, presentation, view results summary with yep. Yes, I want to share that. Cool. All right, try it now.
There you go.
I thought I did that last night.
Needs the vote.
So Calbesh is a vote between Manny and Chaos Fountain Pen. As for Erindil, dear God, that's a lot of nines. We have high with JC, Chaos Fountain Pen, with a side of Sak, and then a vote between a lot of people, which we'll get to in a second. So I kind of want
my
that first
God,
vote to
that's
get through.
terrifying.
Yep. A lot of two blaps. Blap, blap, blap. All right.
Actually, now that I'm seeing this, I could give up Calabash because it looks like I'm going to be taking Arendelle.
JC is the one leading Arendelle at the moment.
It says.
Well, I'll refresh. It might be old.
Those two reds look very similar. That's a pink. Never mind. Oh my god.
Hate being colorblind, bro.
I don't understand why Google Forms assigns these random ass colors that are just the same thing. It's so fucking weird. You could just hover over whichever is the longer one.
The name, yeah.
And it'll tell you who it is.
I'm gonna go ahead and sell the Calabash thing, I guess.
All right. So since you are deferring on all the other regions, Zach, I will have to determine that as well. Let me see if there's any other regions that I need to go check for.
So many, you're bowing out of the vote and it's no longer required, yeah?
No, I'm not bowing out of Calabash.
No, they thought they were. They decided against it because they thought that they were going to be head of Arendelle, but they're not. So the only changes here would be Calabash also needs to determine who their third co is, which is a 6-way vote between Bujo, Novella, Royal Tree, Patien, Pale, and Dr. Jund. As well as the head vote between Manny and Chaos Mountain Pen. As for Arendelle, Chaos Mountain Pen's leading, and then we have a 5-way vote between Novella, Bujo, Fail, Manny, and Patien for Co. And we have 2 positions for that. While you're getting those set up. Yep.
I will withdraw from the Calabash one, Bujo.
Alright. That is 1 less shoops and whoops there for that 6. Now it's a 5. There you are. And from Free Marcher, we have not Sec. I know you said you're keeping that. So Free Marcher is Sec, with Bujo as Co, and barely Chaos Mountain Pen as Co as well. Would either of you like to defer?
I'll probably defer Free Marcher.
All right, which means it's a 3-way tie between Manny, Fail, and Dr. Novella. So a lot of votes to be had. A lot of.
At the very least, I want to focus around Arendelle and Calabash.
So I can just defer Free Marches.
Okay.
Bro, at the risk of repeating myself, if I'm already co-head of somewhere else, I will defer from this place too.
Gotcha. All right. So that means, nope. Dr. Novella in that case. So, Sakurag, Chaos Fountain, Bujo, and then Dr. Novella. Those are our 3 for Free Marcher. Can't speak. Or I can speak, but I speak too much. Anyways. I defer from Calabash as I'm already on the lore keeper for Alderia. Alright, let me scroll up for there then. So that means that we have Bujo removed, Dr. Jun removed, and Petion removed, leaving us with Novella, Fail. You also deferred, I believe, because you wanted to keep yourself to 1. So Novella, Royal Tree, and yeah, cool. So just one of those 2 will be code, depending on what happens with Manny and Chaos Fountain Pen's vote. Excellent.
So far, it looks Manny.
Manny won by a large margin, but I still want to at least help out with Calabash.
All right, so in that case, Manny with lead, Chaos Fountain with second, and then vote between Novella and Royal Tree to see who's the third. Also, I have no idea where that vote is because I'm blind, apparently. Maybe I just scrolled through it. Yep, it scrolled through.
Manny with 17, JC with 6.
Excellent. All right.
With Manny or Novella and Royal Tree, you said?
Novella and Royal Tree, yeah, for the third co of Calabash.
Why is tech director above department head?
It's a leadership role.
Leadership role. What do you mean?
Yeah, all the leadership roles I put down below. Are you saying like in role positioning or?
Yeah.
I'll fix that.
Because it just makes Sithams the only person in the department head thing on the side that's not blue.
Oh, he's gray.
Oh, yeah.
Gray.
That's why I asked. I just looked to the left or to the right. I was like, wait a fucking second.
Hey, let Sithams feel special for a
No.
day. Like, come on.
No.
Jesus.
He fucking bullied me with skeleton puns on Friday. He doesn't deserve to.
I can give you dad jokes.
Hmm.
He fucking deserves to be bullied.
All right, man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, last vote, Smile.
Indeed.
Question mark.
Last vote right there. Go ahead, Novella Royal Tree.
Gotten like 5 pings during this meeting, and none of them are from this channel.
Oof.
Correct.
We're all in No My Council, Smile.
Yep. Hello. We're just going through department heads, leadership, and all that.
Oh, I've been here the whole time. I've
Oh.
just been, quiet.
I see. You are a lurker.
Sean, quiet? What?
All right. Novella
Just been
being
absorbing information.
co for Calabash then. Excellent. That seems very overwhelming to me. Yeah, I'll definitely see if I can't get it uploaded sooner rather than later to help people out, because this is going to be a lot to go through. So with that is all the regions covered to my knowledge. All region heads set, all co-heads set, all department heads and leadership, and blah 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 blah. From there, any questions? Because that, from looks of it, while the team gets things set up, and I'm going to be getting the video uploaded when we're done here. That is pretty much what I had prepped for the meeting. Yes.
Can you go over the final heads of everything? Just one time run through.
Who people are, they just go down the list, who is what head and who's their co-heads, just to this is the final tally at the moment.
Yeah. Do you have the list, legacy or others? I assume no. I was not typing these things down because I'm a banana apparently, but I figured one of my very helpful helpers might have done so.
Can you even eat bananas?
No, I can't.
Which is
List
why
of
he is
deferrals.
a sad
Half
banana.
done. But I'm going to go through the VOD.
Okay. So we got the majority, but essentially, if they are voted the highest, they are, for the most part, considered the region or department head. There are a few exceptions per the votes that we had. So, just, freaking I did it again. Brugia, Sithams, Eldiria, Dracia, Doladur, Blackheart, Calabash, Manny, Arendelle is Chaos Fountain, Free Marcher is Sakarag, and for leadership we have Awakened Shrub for RP events, Divinity is Sakarag, Balance would be Chrono, Homebrew would be Corey, Lorekeeper would be Chaos Fountain, Economy would be Corey, Training would be Sithams, Political would be Pi, Leadership would be myself, Sir Nerp, for, ease of tracking names. Leadership would be Corey, and Tech would be, per the deferment, Sithams. And those are the heads/directors of those regions. For the co's, I do not remember any of those for the most part, so I will need to do the same thing that Legacy needs to do, which is go through the VOD.
I know that for political, my co-heads are Dead Shadow DM and JC, because Manny deferred, I believe.
Mine is the same situation for RP events with the same people.
Training is Manny and Jenny.
Excellent. But
Balance is Moonreaver, because we're forcing him to do work.
Yep.
Agreed.
All in agreement?
Yeah.
Say aye.
Yep,
Aye.
yep.
What?
Yep.
I by the way, I was not responding to you. I had no idea what you said because I was reading B's post. So I said yeah to her question of asking, can we have written down documents of the meeting, basically transcribing.
Basically what I said is that The co-head for balance is a Moonreaver. All in agreement say aye. You said aye, and everyone else did.
Oh no.
Great.
The timing. It's perfect.
The boss man said so.
Oh man. Anyways, for your question B regarding having a transcribed version of these meetings, I definitely want one.
I don't mind doing it if you want.
Excellent. I used to do it during the previous world,
Previous leadership,
but I was not leading it, so I could actually type while I was listening. Since I'm leading, I can't exactly type while talking as well.
Yeah.
But I can also transcribe if no one else does it, so it's not a problem. But yeah, I can definitely see about getting that set up, so people can have written versions as well as the video version of meetings. Any other questions?
What's happening next? Like, what are the things that we should be thinking about or working on?
So, going forward, each of these different department heads should start getting together with their team. Everyone who did sign up to be part of these different departments as leadership or not, feel free to still work on it. I definitely hope that everything is still fairly collaborative. People, work together, provide suggestions, and overall it is more of a community-based decision. But with the leadership being the general directors, the metaphorical rudder of the ship. So whatever departments that you're in, the department heads and whatnot will start scheduling meetings, and those can start doing work. And leadership ourselves will be getting together for meetings in the nearest future. I'm going to be posting some scheduling in the administration channel, which both department heads and leadership can see, so we can get an idea of an overarching server-based view of what we want, and then, meetings to be had and work can be done.
Balance and Homebrew don't have a general channel for them, it seems.
I
They
will
just have, like, the creation
I just
section.
fixed that.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay,
cool.
Good.
Easy
Yeah,
clap.
please fix that. And also, as somebody from the old administration, I will also reemphasize, please, for the love of God, communicate between departments and stay communicating. And
Yes.
if you ever feel like one department is, if you ever get the idea of, for whatever reason, one department is doing something to themselves or whatever, please communicate that so we can get that sorted out.
Mhm.
Instead of keeping it to yourselves, because that's how a lot of the animosity between departments start to brew up. Like, if you suspect, another department's doing something, please just have them talk. And also, on the other hand, please also talk back.
Indeed. Communication is key.
I don't know. You mean Laura's gonna call
Literally just
war
talk.
on?
We're all here for the
Balance.
same goal of a good time, ideally.
Yep.
Your training is planning a coup.
But yes, the big thing here during meetings.
You could add a processing.
I'm not even in that channel. I just knew.
But the big thing regarding these meetings, if you're, example, setting up a meeting for specifically the homebrew department, you probably want to also include, and by probably I mean you should include the adventure team as well as a balance team, and possibly, depending on what the homebrew you're working on, economy or whatnot, to go in on the talks as well. So every department that might be relevant are at the table. So just whatever you might be working on for that meeting, keep in mind who might be relevant to the conversation. So, for example, if you're just doing like homebrew god stuff, you won't really need economy in the meeting, but you would probably want adventure, just because that could impact the adventuring team with the new gods and whatnot.
I'm gonna be talking with fucking everyone.
Yes, you will. It's a cursed existence, be political. It's a half-life, one might say.
Yeah, I'm aware. I've dealt with it for the past 2.5 fucking years.
Yep.
What? Pie having to be in everyone's pockets? Never.
Anyways.
No, listen. It's only fitting that Pi is the one person who has his hands in all of the pies. I'd say that's a terrible joke. I had to make it. Don't have every fucking role. If you do, you're an idiot.
It is a cursed existence. Many jobs.
Do not do that.
Anyways, any other questions?
Nah.
All right, I'm gonna go check my
we-
ads. I have one up here. Yes.
Do we want to make a region head section?
Yeah. So we'll be having in the adventure corner, or not adventure, in a new category, one for each region, and one for just general adventure, which I'll be dragging adventure team down into the general region categories.
Similar to like last phase, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like we had all the okay.
Yeah, similar to last phase. I'll also hope that each region will have a Google document that's shared for like communication and whole like folder, which I'll be setting up in the Google Drive for people to use. Anything relevant to it. In addition to that, anything you guys might be working on, lore-wise or whatnot, anything that is already pre-built. I mean, obviously it's there. You guys are free to expand upon it. If you want it to be fully approved and put on the World Anvil, just get with me. And once I have a team that can help me out adding on to World Anvil as contributors, then we can, have them join as well. The big thing here is, while your team itself might approve lore, it does need to be in a certain format, so I might do some edits, but I'll be working with your relevant heads to make sure the formats don't change your vision, essentially. Basically, if you have, like, something called the Doladur Isle Trials of, some weird monster, it would be placed in the appropriate location, is what I mean by format. Yes, any other questions?
Actually, just one. Do you have any preference to how meetings are conducted within each department?
Overall, I'd hope that they'd be similar to this meeting, where there's the department head and co's who kind of lead the department, and everyone else gives their input based upon the respective topic. So, like right now, where I'm asking if anyone has any questions, that would be a thing that you'd have in the meetings. But really, while I might be involved in many meetings, being adventure director and living world director, it is overall the show of the respective heads to kind of lead their department, whether it.
All right, so you don't, you specifically don't need to be there, do you?
I don't know. No. If it's relevant to adventure, then I should be there. But if I'm not available, I can send one of my co's to be there in my place.
All right,
I would also just, recommend people writing down notes or recording the meetings like we do here. That way, for transparency's sake, so that way no one gets confused. There's no miscommunication. There's no, just to keep everything transparent.
Indeed. Highly recommend recordings and notes for any meeting that is had.
I would also just say wait like a day so that we make sure that everything's finalized before we actually start going off and make sure that all the admin stuff on the side is 100%.
Indeed.
Speaking of admin stuff, does anybody have the link to one of the old documents I made for monster creation?
Is it on the old drive?
It should have been, but I can't find
I
it.
I probably have it then. I have all the stuff from the old drive, so.
Yeah, it was mostly just a document I wrote, I believe, in the old Monster Lab that was talking about the principles behind designing encounters. I just don't want to have to retype the entire thing.
Gotcha. I can look through it. Do you remember what you named it?
Something like Bestiary Guidelines or something.
Okay, I'll look through it then. It's probably in the Adventure Bestiary folder, maybe an admin area in the old, but yeah. All right. Last little bitty boop bop. Appreciate everyone's help. Very much appreciate you guys being here and helping out, all that good stuff. But that would be the meeting. Hope you all have a good rest of your day, evening, etc. Wow. Anyways.
Anyone that's in political that's in here that didn't react to the fucking ping, react to the fucking ping.
No.
Yes.
Anyways.
Oh,